So guys, we have all the purlins up running and she looks really good. And I had to shim some of it in the center because of the way I constructed the ridge beam. I staggered the boards and one got set back, so these laid a little lower. They hit the front board instead of the back board and such. So I just made this beautifully tight and level. And so we're ready to get this going on here. And I'm going to get my gloves on because this is sheet metal. You see this as I'm kind of waiting for the slimies to get off of everything. It's just wet from the dew. I want to work when it's still cool out, you know. So I think I'm going to take all this with these work gloves over here. Welcome to Cricky's Off-Grid Homestead, folks. And I'm going to take my work gloves so I don't get cut up. And I'm ready. I got my screws in my pocket and the screw gun. And the cool thing is they give you these green screws that match the roof with the rubber grommet. They're nice little bags of screws. They give you a bunch of them. And, excuse me, enough to do the job. So, let's get busy. So, folks, here's where I'm at. I separated all the long pieces across the lawn there, you know, for the backside. And here's the 8-foot pieces for the front bash. I call it the bash. But I stood on this shed top, tried to lift this piece up there and hold it up and screw it. And it's not like the back because of the pitch. Now, call me stupid because I was. Okay? Actually, I'm not, because I knew I was going to just see how it felt when I tried it, and instantly I was like, nope, we ain't doing this. So we got to find another way. Remember, there's not another pair of hands for me, you know. I don't have a second pair of hands. So it's just me with this heavy metal. How do I get it up there, you know? These right here, I just stand up and push up the back, and they're fine. And they lay okay. As long as it's not windy, they won't slide off. The front is so steep, because, again, I call it the bash, you know. It's a wind bash, you know, and a rain bash to keep the camper from getting the roof getting murdered with snow and sleet and hail and rain. But so, long story short, I had to set the first one, because if you don't set the first one correctly right here, by the time you get across to the end, it'll be, could be a foot off. You know what I mean? It won't be the same. So I used the top edge of the top board there, lined it up, and I used the gutter. You can see how it just lays in the gutter nicely right there. You know, and so, let me get a little closer, kind of come up here. I'm not looking at the lens, I'm a little high here. Now I might have to cut a little of that off, or put a 2x4 behind the gutter, move the gutter off the header a little bit. No big deal for anything of that. But I have the first one started really nicely. And it looks really even, and I'm going to run across to the other side with it. But it has to be me standing on the roof, doing each side with screws, then the next back piece goes up. Once I get the front piece up on this, on the opposite side of this one there, you see, if I just push them all up, I'd have to climb on the roof to screw it. But I can stand up on top of this camper roof, in between those boards, just stand there. Like, step over or crawl under, whatever. I'm limber enough. I'm still in good shape. I can just duck down. There's plenty of room up there. It's like an attic or something. I don't know. You know? I can just kind of kneel down, crawl through, and then just get on my knees near the edge like I did that third row, and just kind of tack them all in right from the rooftop. So I'm not on a ladder. I'm not holding anything heavy. I'm not in any danger, because it's one guy and a shovel. And when you're doing this stuff, this will cut your neck off if you're not careful. I'm not kidding you. I've received 17 stitches from this stuff. I know what it can do. I burn the ends with a torch there, fry them shut, tape them up. So I'm going to have a little chain here. Let me get my shadow out of this picture. I'm going to have a little chain here, and I'm going to take one of these screws and zip it through in the corner, tie this rope right through the middle of the sling, so to speak, throw the rope over the top, and pull the sheet metal up so it's hanging on the roof. and then tie the other side to one of these posts. So it's just waiting for me up there. And then I can just easily go up the ladder because it's acting as a second or third hand if I had a crew. You know what I mean? A crew of men, they would be doing that. But I don't have that. And so, and if I did even, they'd have to be a bunch of young bucks, man, because this is not, roofs aren't for old men or young kids.
Well,
So I'm standing up here on the roof, and I had the chain hooked on, and I got this roof lined up very nicely end to end. And of course the ridge cap's just going to lay right over top and close this up. A beautiful green round cap in that lineup of material down there on top of the wood there. You see it's wrapped up. See the shape of it? It just lays over top of this and gets screwed in and keeps the water out. I pinned this with a screw, and I've begun to take the rig off, okay? Now I'm going to take the other side off, and I just have this fat enough that it can't make its way through the chain because I don't want this to slip. The holes I've drilled to pull these sheets up are going to be well underneath the ridge cap, so no water is going to even hit this hole, all right? It's the best I can do as one guy. And so, but she's going to look good. I'm going to get down to the bottom now. Now that I pinned it here, I can swivel back and forth the piece and eye it up at the bottom and make it match this one so it looks nice and square. You want to step really far off from the property. You can see so much better farther away than you can close. When you're doing it up here, it's like, oh, this gap looks beautifully even. When you get down there, the thing's crooked. You know what I mean? So you just have to go look at everything from every angle and sort of squeeze it in to get it right, you know? But now we're underway. Now, here's another thing. This piece and this piece here are critical to the rest of the build because this sets the tone for the evenness the sheet metal runs down. If you start to stagger, you're going to even miss the board. It'll start to go at an angle. So guys, this is where I'm at. And I'm trying to line things up perfectly and make it look nice. Now, the building settled a little bit over the 4 years. You know, it gets a little twisted. But what you try to do is align the metal and make it look nice and straight. These boards here look spaced pretty good. Like, they look pretty good against the metal edge. But it's a little off. I say, it's hot out here and I'm in like black pants, you know, so it's I'm roughing it. Well, see, we got the front one up. I got the first front one up on this side here too, see? And of course you come across and you look on the inside and you can see there's twins in the back.
Quantum entanglement, where we point.
Look at my chickens, chicken beezels. What are you guys doing? Getting some bread.
Come here, baby.
I know they're grabbing it up, monkey. You know what I mean? All right, let's get out and look at this. So what do we got here, folks? We got a pretty well done roof here, and I'd say she's fair to middling and much, 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 much better than the tarp that was on here. You see the spacers I have in there, it shims it. And the gap going down looks nice. And I'm going to put the ridge cap over it when we get her done. Right now, this is where I am at. And it takes quite a bit, you know, I'm telling you. It's for a one-man job, it's not fun. This is my system that I pull a piece of metal up here. And you saw it, you know, earlier, and I just keep moving over. But let me step out from the house here, from the camp. This is the bunkhouse. I just call it the bunkhouse because that's what it's going to be. But I don't have it screwed down yet on the bottom on the last. That's what makes it look like it's got a little dip in it, because I have to pin it yet here. So 2 of these right here are going to fit right where the rafters are, but I'm going to have to add the rafters here, and that board right there down on the ground is going to come under here and come out to where the post is, so I can put another hurricane strapper on there, and then put another rafter front, fore and aft there, and pull the purlins down to the rafter and get across. It's difficult because that's like an attic space. I literally crawl on my hands and knees through here to get through from the ladder side to this side, and then pull myself up between the boards, and then go under this board and duck up and come up on here. And it's a lot of, it feels like I'm playing Twister. And the back's looking pretty good. Now see, this is where the old one was. The old tarp just wrapped right, it stopped right here at 20 feet. Now we're going to come out all the way to the post. That's what the original idea was. But I got a 20 by 20 tarp, and I did the wrap, and it taught us our water collects. We'll wrap the collection up, wrap the roof up, and I think this thing's going to be just fantastic for a long time. And it's always off-grid here, which makes it really nice. And so the last thing I have to do is get the ridge cap across the top there, and all the way across the top. So I think I'm going to tether myself to this rope, and I mean tie my waist like when I get up there around my belt, or definitely like harness myself, and then like walk the roof, because I can now. You know, this is plenty strong to walk on, and then put the last pieces and just lay on my stomach and screw them all down, and then come back down. That's the plan. I can actually get up on the roof now. This work is just so difficult. You don't want to get, you know, I sometimes you want to get help, but you don't want anybody getting hurt. You know what I mean? I don't want somebody falling off the roof of my property, or getting, you know, seriously injured, you know, doing this stuff. So I just take my time. I one-man it. And I get her done and get her down and make it work. Now here's the ridge. You can see how I have that board once again there. It's a little cleaner now. But boy, that also looks really nice there. See how even the light is shining through the top of the ridge there? The metal is just nice and even. It looks really good. I'm pretty pleased. You know, I'm never ecstatic. I always reserve a little bit, but when this is the ridge cap, well, I won't cut it open yet. There's 2 pieces in here, and they're shiny green, and there's one on top of another there, and it'll make the whole length of the roof. Because now this won't flop either. You won't. The canvas was like flop, flop, flop. When the wind blew, it sounded like an army tent. You know what I mean? I mean, we got used to it. It's white noise, you know, but. It just, this is nice and tight and strong. It looks like a park here now, and that's what I wanted. You know, the pavilion matches the camp. Everything's metal roofed, including the generator hut and the camp here. And that is really nice. Boy, oh boy. So much to do, so much to do. This lumber here, I'm going to be using for our deck when we put the cabin in, because this is all pressure treated. And we're going to do that. It's not going to build the top side, but it will frame it very nicely. And then we'll put deck planking across it. And when the cabin goes down here, I'll build Donna a nice L deck around the whole cabin, you know. One for the side door, one for the front door, and like a big L around, a whole L around the side of it, you know. It's just going to look grand. We'll get some trees out there. But I just am feeling the solidness of this now, and it makes me feel good. Guys, it's just so much, you know what I mean? Sometimes you question, you know, you're like, oh my God. There she is, folks. Yeah. So, hey guys, I am aching everywhere. I cannot move correctly. I am like, my shoulders are sore. You know, you got to drill and you're pressing, like your arm is extended pressing down, and it tears you. And you got to be careful. You don't want to tear yourself too much, but just holding that metal up and controlling it and bending, putting your elbow down on it and trying to drill the first screw in while it's hanging at an angle like that. It's like, oh my God, it's a little scary. I'm safe up there because I tether myself with ropes and I do things that I should do properly. I tether the ladder with a ratchet strap, as you saw earlier in the video, to the post. And I just make sure it almost feels like a stairwell up and down. But I'm telling you something that I notice about myself as I'm, things get heavier. As you get a little older, you get a little slower. But I'm still doing it. I'm not knocking myself. But at the same time, I'm not 24 anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. It is just really being methodical and being very careful about what you do when you're single man in it, like I'm doing here. It's not a bragging thing, I promise you. It's more like a serious thing, because you can get, if Don is visiting somewhere and I fall off the roof, I'm here alone. You see what I'm saying? I cannot even play around at all with a joke. Like, I'm not going to get hurt. You know what I'm saying? It's my goal. So point is slow and steady wins the race. That's my motto.